officers are dead. I am dying. The entire crew frozen in a silent scream, pointing at a sky that holds no answers. Welcome to the ghost ship of the damned. June 1947. Two American ships pick up a message that chills the blood. A frantic, stuttering Morse code from the Straits of Malacca. The message was broken, haunting, and final. It claimed the captain and every officer was lying dead in the chart room and the bridge. Then, the final words that would go down in history: I die. After that, only the static of the abyss remained. The hunt for the Ourang Medan had begun. When the rescue ship, Silver Star, pulled alongside, there was no response, no whistle, no waving hands, only the sound of the waves hitting a dead hull. First man to step on deck felt a sudden, unnatural chill. The tropical sun was hot, but the ship felt like it had been pulled from the bottom of an ice-cold ocean. And then they saw them. The crew, not just dead, but transformed into statues of pure agony, their faces twisted in screams. That never ended. There were no bullet holes, no blood, no signs of a fight. Just hundreds of bodies pointing toward the sky, as if something terrible was hovering above them. Even the ship's dog was found dead, frozen in a snarl directed at the air. Whatever killed them didn't care, if they were human or animal. In the bridge, the captain was still at his post. His face was a mask of terror that even death couldn't erase. He was looking at something, and now, so are you. The rescue team descended into the deep bowels of the ship, expecting the heat of a tropical engine room. Instead, they walked into a freezer. The massive iron boilers were stone cold to the touch. A strange, unnatural frost covered the walls, glinting like diamonds in the dark. There is no law of science that explains how a ship in a heat wave becomes an iceberg in a single hour. The air here didn't just feel cold. It felt empty, as if the very life force of the vessel had been sucked out by a vacuum we cannot comprehend. Look at their hands. Look at the way they point. Every single man on this deck died looking at the same spot in the black sky. Their eyes are wide, their teeth are bared, but there is no wound on a single body. It's as if they saw something so terrifying, so beyond human understanding, that their hearts simply stopped in unison. This isn't the face of a man choking on gas. This is the face of a man who has seen a revelation and found it full of hate. They are statues of terror, frozen in a silent prayer to a sky that offers no mercy. The Silver Star prepared to tow the ghost ship back to port. They wanted answers, but the Ourang Medan had other plans. Without warning, a thick black smoke began to pour from the cargo hold. There was no explosion, no sound, just a sudden violent heat that forced the rescue team to flee. As they cut the tow lines, the ship began to glow with a terrifying white light. It was as if the evidence itself was being erased by a force that refused to be captured. A funeral pyre for a mystery that was never meant to be solved. Then came the final act. With a sound like a giant gasping for air, the ship lifted its bow toward the heavens. It stayed there for a moment, a jagged tombstone in the middle of the ocean. And then it slid into the abyss. No debris was left behind, no oil slick. The ocean closed over the ship as if it had never existed at all. All the answers, all the terror, all those frozen faces, gone. They are down there now, in the crushing dark, still pointing their fingers at a sky they can no longer see. The Silver Star sailed away in silence, knowing that whatever took the ship was still out there. What was the Ourang Medan truly carrying? Some whispers tell of a cargo so deadly it was never meant to exist on any map. They speak of a secret alliance with the remnants of Unit 731, the infamous Japanese Biological Warfare Division. Imagine a cargo hold filled with cylinders of potassium cyanide and nerve gas hidden beneath the floorboards. If the seawater leaked into those rusted canisters, it would have created a silent, invisible cloud of death. A cloud that doesn't leave a wound but freezes the nervous system in a heartbeat. This would explain why the crew looked like they were struck by lightning while standing still. But gas doesn't explain the unnatural cold. Gas doesn't explain the fear that was etched into the eyes of a dog. Perhaps the gas was just the key that opened the door to something much worse, something that science is too afraid to name. And what about the man who sent the message? The voice that stuttered, "I die," across the airwaves. When the rescue team reached the radio room, they found him, sitting at his post, his finger still resting on the key. His face was identical to the others, a mask of pure, frozen terror. But who was he talking to? If the entire crew was already dead, how did he manage to stay alive long enough to describe the horror? Or was the message not coming from a living man at all? Some believe the radio room had become a bridge between worlds, that the static was the only way for the damned to reach out to the living. He didn't just die. He was the last witness to a massacre that science refuses to record. Even now, if you listen to the static on a dark night at sea, you might still hear his finger tapping, waiting for an answer. The earth itself can be a murderer. Beneath the Straits of Malacca, the seafloor is a place of violent volcanic activity. Some theorists suggest that a massive bubble of methane gas erupted from the depths, directly beneath the Ourang Medan, a gas so pure and so concentrated, it would displace the oxygen instantly. The crew wouldn't have had time to breathe, let alone run. They would have stood there, paralyzed, as their lungs filled with nothingness. This could explain the cold, and it could explain the sudden fire that later consumed the ship. But methane doesn't make you point your finger at the sky in terror. Methane doesn't leave a look of revelation on the face of a dead captain. Nature can kill unto but it doesn't leave a soul in a state of eternal scream. No, the gas was just the smokescreen, a mask for the predator that was rising from the abyss. Why is it that the official records of the Silver Star are so empty? If a disaster of this scale happened, why is there no mention of it in the Lloyd's shipping registry? For decades, the Ourang Medan was treated as a ghost story, a legend told by drunken sailors. But in 1954, a secret CIA document was declassified mentioning the ship by name. They knew. They always knew. They knew about the cargo and they knew about the frozen faces. The world was told it was a myth because the truth was too dangerous to be shared. If the public knew what really happened in those dark waters, they would never look at the ocean the same way again. The files were burned, the witnesses were silenced, and the ship was left to rot in the abyss. But the shadows don't need files to remember. The shadows are the only record that never lies. Why is it that the official records of the Silver Star are so empty? If a disaster of this scale happened, why is there no mention of it in the Lloyd's shipping registry? For decades, the Ourang Medan was treated as a ghost story, a legend told by drunken sailors. But in 1954, a secret CIA document was declassified mentioning the ship by name. They knew. They always knew. They knew about the cargo and they knew about the frozen faces. The world was told it was a myth because the truth was too dangerous to be shared. If the public knew what really happened in those dark waters, they would never look at the ocean the same way again. The files were burned, the witnesses were silenced, and the ship was left to rot in the abyss. But the shadows don't need files to remember. The shadows are the only record that never lies. The men of the Silver Star who stepped on that deck were never the same. They returned to their homes, to their families, but a part of them stayed behind in the fog. They spoke of nightmares where the air would suddenly turn ice cold, even in the heat of summer. They spoke of seeing a faint Morse code flickering in the stars at night. You cannot look at 100 men frozen in a scream and remain whole. One by one, the witnesses faded away, some into silence, others into madness. Because once you've seen the Ourang Medan, you realize that the world you live in is just a thin veil. And that veil is easily torn by the things that lurk in the dark corners of the map. They didn't just survive a ghost ship. They carried the ghost home with them. And every time they closed their eyes, they were back on that deck, pointing at a sky that has no mercy. Today, there is no physical proof that the Ourang Medan ever existed. No wood, no metal, no bones. The ocean has a way of digesting its mistakes until they are nothing but whispers. Even the Silver Star is gone now, lost to the currents of time. We are left with a riddle wrapped in a nightmare. Was it a secret war crime, a volcanic eruption, or a brush with something from the outside? Perhaps the answer is even simpler and more terrifying. Perhaps the Ourang Medan was a warning, a reminder that we are not the masters of this earth, that there are forces beneath the waves and above the clouds that we were never meant to understand. The ship didn't just sink into the water, it sank into the collective shadow of humanity. A story told in the dark to remind us that some secrets are better left at the bottom of the sea. The message has stopped, the static has cleared, but the next time you find yourself at sea, looking at the horizon where the fog meets the water, listen closely. If the wind turns cold and the air grows still, don't look up. Some things are still waiting for their message to be answered. The shadows are moving, and they are hungry for a witness. I am Marcus, and this was History's Shadow. Sleep well, if you can. Final fade to black.